When people talk about solutions, they kind of expect you to map out an organization and a structure and have someone taking the minutes. That's not what it's about. We're in a situation where psychopaths have taken over our reality. And so what's the answer? Well, the answer is we are. We are the answer. And, you know, you can go through the left brain and talk about structure, and he takes the minutes, like I say. But the bottom line is, the difference between the world we live in and the world that we can live in is whether our society is conscious or unconscious, because unconsciousness is get us here, so consciousness must take us somewhere else. It's about becoming conscious. Question is, how do you become conscious? Well, you disconnect from the program, and then you automatically are conscious, as I'll come to. But, you know, the theme in whatever culture, whether it's the Gnostics or whatever, they talk about this archontic force envying humans and fearing that they will wake up. And that's why they have to keep us asleep, and they're terrified that we'll wake up. And that's why in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Because the one-eyed man, the suppression has kept humanity, the target population, in a deeper sense of ignorance than it is in. Thus, the one-eyed man is king. So we wake up, and like I said, the three-eyed, two-eyed man, woman, everyone will wake up, and the game will be over. They don't keep us in a state of spiritual, mental, and emotional oppression for a laugh. They do it because it's the only way of controlling us. So getting out of that is fundamental. They are seeking to hijack our perception. We need to take our perception back. You know, when the Native Americans are talking about this choice between one side of us and another side of us, well, that is the world that we have helped to create by falling into its trap. People say, what are the solutions? That's the solution, because everything comes from that. Joy, love, peace, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion. All these things would transform the world. And there's so many people in this world who are already there. But they need to put their heads above the parapet and express that instead of hiding it and hiding away from society. Which one wins decides which society we live in. Thus, it's not about left brain structure. What we need to do in a holographic expression of this changing consciousness will naturally come from the changing consciousness. Changing consciousness is what we need. We've been decoding this reality. We need to decode this reality, and that means changing our consciousness, and that's what we decode. And Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we created them. So, here we are in a perfect example of that. The way we have expressed ourselves through generations and generations, thousands of years of what we call human life, has got us into this situation. And so we need to change that to get out of it. And the difference is being in the program or being conscious beyond the program. It is absolutely that simple. And once we're really conscious beyond the program, there'll be nothing like fear of expressing yourself within the realm of the program. Because some people kind of suss the program, but they've not got so conscious that they've gone above fear so that they can actually express themselves within the program. They've sussed the program, but then they keep their heads down and their mouths shut because they worry about the consequences of challenging the program. That's not in a conscious state. That's a greater awareness state. It's not a conscious state. A conscious state coming from the heart. The heart doesn't do fear. Bollocks to that. Fear, heart. Love doesn't fear. Love has this image of being weak. Oh, he's about love. He'll be doing the washing up next. What's he doing? Well, love is beyond fear. It's beyond time and space, the realm of fear. Thus, it does what it believes to be right, whatever that is and whatever it takes. And when we reach that level, there'll be so many people speaking out and expressing themselves in the program will get absolutely dismantled by people waking up and expressing that awakeness. You know, it is so simple. How do we change the world? We change ourselves. How do we change ourselves? We step out of the program and become the conscious infinity forever that we are. Becoming conscious beyond mind. In this, kind of matrix, they'll never kind of see it, like in the quotes I've been giving about the simulated universe. They'll never see it, the walls. Well, the way through the walls is becoming conscious beyond mind. It's breaking out of thought and going into intuitive knowing, into a state of awareness that is beyond thought. It just knows. You know, we do the body language. It's telling us. We say, hold on, I'm thinking. And then we go, look, I just know. Because that's where knowing comes from. And what am I saying? Reversing the inversion. Going from interacting with this reality through the gut and the emotions and starting to interact with it through the heart again. Oh, we can do it. It's a choice. We can do it now. We can do it tonight. We can go on doing it after tonight. It is just a choice. But people often don't make the choice because they think, well, the consequences of making the choice, well, my life will change. Yes, it will. For the better, overwhelmingly, once you start to break out of it. The divine light is always in man, woman, presenting itself to the senses and to the comprehension, but man rejects it. We just have to let it in. You let it in through the heart. This is a wonderful lady, Alice Walker, wonderful lady. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. And that is the greatest dismantling of human power that this archontic force has, is selling the perception that we don't have any. You had the power all along, my dear. We have just forgotten and we're waking up to it. Who do we answer to? David Icke? Do we answer to Ethel Jones or Charlie Smith? Or do we answer to I am infinite awareness, all that is, has been, and ever can be, having an experience of that name? That is the revolution of self-identity, from experience to that which is experiencing. Imprisoned by walls that we build for ourselves, and the system helps us, encourages us to build them. Perception programming. We accept the imposition of belief from other people, whether it's parents or academics. No. Blank sheet of paper. I decide. The I decides what goes on that paper. In other words, what I accept as my reality. I don't care how many letters you've got after your name. I don't care if you're freaking famous. I don't know who you are. I don't care if you're my mother and father who are trying to impose their belief system upon me. I am infinite awareness. I will decide what my belief is and how I perceive reality. And that, again, breaks out of this program of responding to how others tell us we should be. And we've got to kind of realize that there will be resistance to that. People who go, oh, yeah, what about you, when you start to resist the program. But it doesn't matter, because if they can't respect our right to be us, well, what we bother in being around them anyway for? It's about dropping the actor's mask or realizing what the mask is, that it's just an experience. It's just a point of attention within infinite reality. And when we leave this body, we'll move our point of attention. And we are doing that infinitely forever. That's as bad as it freaking gets. And if we go on accepting the program, go on accepting externally implanted beliefs, then we're just pawns in the program, pawns in the game, and we've given our power away. What are we doing as infinite reality? Having our belief systems externally imposed. We have infinite reality, infinite possibility, infinite potential to choose from and manifest. Why are we having people tell us what we are and what we should be? When we choose not to do that, when we choose not to fall into the program, then we start to make a positive difference in the world. Because by disconnecting from the program, we are taking its power away, one by one by one. And when we get caught in emotion, that's what we're supposed to do in our freaking challenge, overcoming emotional impulses. I know that as much as anybody. But when we get caught in these emotion programs running through the body, and what's interesting is when near-death experiences describe their experiences, invariably they say, when I left the body, there was no emotion. Wasn't your emotion lust? Human emotion wasn't there anymore. It's a program, or this low vibrational human response, because that's the energy that they wish to generate for reasons we've discussed, and thus they have put programs through the operating system which generate that energy. But infinite consciousness can overwhelm and overpower that if we come through the heart, because the heart doesn't do that kind of emotion, this does. And once we fall for the emotion trap, we're not in the now. Because when we're worried about the future, we're pulled into a future that actually doesn't exist. We're pulled into a place where we can't do anything. We are powerless because you can't change something that doesn't exist. And when we have regrets, emotional regrets about the past, we're pulled into the past that doesn't actually exist. We're pulled out of the now, which is the one moment where we can change everything. So pulling out of the regrets and the future, I am not what has happened to me. That is an experience that we have had to this point. And it's brought us to this point. And some of the things we haven't liked have been good for us because it's given us experiences that have helped us to become more understanding of everything. But I am not what has happened to me. I am where I am now. And at any point in the now, we can make a new start. And whatever has happened in the past, however bad it was, however we regret it, however we don't like it, we can start anew now anytime we choose and build a different world, a different reality, a different human experience for ourselves.